Bethany Manctelo here. Welcome to our Millwall fan show with some new voices, but the same focus. Just everything Millwall. Enjoy!
Welcome to the 2023-24 series of Millwall No One Likes Us Talking's, our Millwall fan show. I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Jeff Burnige, Dave Hart and Stan Godwin.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Welcome, team and listeners. We'll get going then, shall we? Stan, it was clear that when Saturday passed, it was a scrappy game between ourselves and Cardiff. Can you tell us your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I mean, at one point, I did think when I was keeping an eye on the score and it was 0-0, I thought to myself, well, this could be, the reports I was hearing at the time, from what I heard, it wasn't too positive from our point of view. So when it came up on the television and it was 0-0 with about 74 minutes to go or something like that, I thought to myself, oh, this is handy. This could be a useful point. Now I didn't think for a minute that they'd score, and then late, about 5 or 6 minutes later, I'd gone out into the kitchen, then come back and found out that they scored, and I was gutted, absolutely gutted. And by all accounts, although it was a scrappy game on one thing and another, from some of the people that I've spoken to who went to the game, they reckon that we played quite well. So the defeat didn't, or the performance didn't justify defeat. I know these things don't work out like that, but I understood what they meant. So, it was a shame, really. But, again, I'm not too downhearted, to be honest with you. All this will all come good. It's rather ironic, though, I have to say. Right, all these people are now moaning, oh, we could get relegated and all the rest of it. But these are the very same people would have wanted Rioch out, and under Gary Rioch was never in this sort of position. So, but anyway, no, I think at the end of the day, I think we'll be fine, personally.
Jeff, we went to the King Power Wednesday night, it was. We went up an early goal, 1-0 up at half time, but the second half, what are your thoughts on the second half, mate?
Well, like the Cardiff game, we are quite effective away from home, but we are struggling to keep clean sheets, aren't we? The way we're set up to play away from home, you need to keep a clean sheet really to get a win or even a draw. So it was a shame that we started the second half so shakily, which we definitely did. I suppose on the game as a whole, we couldn't complain, but Cardiff are quite high up in the league at the moment, and Leicester have got more points at this stage than any team has ever had in the Championship since they started, since it was called the Championship. So they're a top team. There's no shame in losing to Leicester up there. So difficult to know how to think about it, really, because the goals we conceded, you would like to think we wouldn't have conceded at least 2 of them, which would have made a huge difference to the result. The first one in particular, I think, was a bit of a disaster.
Yeah. Dave, are there any positions in our team that you see being essential to reinforce maybe in January? That, Joe Edwards' possession-based ethos, it didn't work out yesterday. It was 80-20, but that's, I guess, against Leicester. Do you think it could, what do we have to do in the transfer window to bring success in the short term?
Well, Joe's got he's got a plan, and he's sticking with it. He's moving players around, trying different formats. But I personally think that he should start with the defence, because Murray Wallace, I think his time is coming to an end. He's done a great job in the past, but last night it was really shown up by that Fattel bloke, a player that got on the wing. He was absolutely ripping him to shreds. So I think we need a younger, more experienced and faster left back, and I think we need to bring in a striker. When I say not looking for a target man, looking for this long ball stuff, but a player that can work up front with the likes of the strikers we've already got. And I think that's probably about it. The players are there for now. But as other people have said before me, Stan hinted on it. I think we'll be all right come the end of the season.
Yeah, definitely. I watched the game partially on Saturday against Cardiff, and it was, from what I saw, it was a decent performance. You know, you can, from both of those games, you can see what Joe Edwards is trying to do, and it's starting to work. But unfortunately, we're playing against top teams who, obviously, Cardiff are in the playoffs at the minute. They're doing quite well this season, and obviously Leicester. I don't think I have to say they're a good team because we all know it. They will be in the Premier League next year. But you know that it is 2 losses. But on the other hand, it was 2 good performances. I think in the first half, we were done over really by the referee. To be honest, I think there were 3 soft fouls that, you know, went down as free kicks. As yellow cards that probably shouldn't have been yellow cards, to be honest with you. And I think that's what put a stop to Murray Wallace playing in the second half. Because I think if he weren't on a yellow card, he wouldn't have been brought off, to be honest with you. So yeah, I can see what Joe Edwards is trying to do, but yeah.
I think on Dave's point about a left back, we're forgetting about Joe Bryan. Is it Joe Bryan?
Yeah.
A lot depends on whether he's fit. If he's fit, he's clearly good enough for the division. But at the moment, we haven't got anybody else there except for either we can play Longman there, or it's got to be Murray Wallace, or the next one in line is the young lad Adam Malarkey.
Yeah.
So a lot depends on how fit or otherwise Joe Bryan is for that position. But you know, the feeling I get is that when you're trying to borrow players in January, you can't go around saying, "Oh, we'd like a centre forward," or "We'd like a left back." If you can find someone good enough for your squad, that someone is willing to let you have on loan, it might not be your first choice requirement. You know, it might not be. I don't think, for example, that Norton Cuffy was. I don't think a right back was our obvious requirement in the summer, but he was. We were allowed to have him, and we grabbed the opportunity. So, because we'd seen him for Coventry last season, so he was an improvement. So we'll wait and see what happens in January. But it will purely be loans. I'm convinced of that. I don't think we'll be buying anybody.
Yeah, but you see, I just think, with this transfer windows coming up, right? I mean, I think we've got to be careful, because the reason I say that, I mean, okay, Dave's saying, well, you know, we need another striker. Well, okay, I mean, that may or may not be the case, but what I'm saying is, whatever players we bring in, right, they're going to have to fit into, but they've got to be players that's going to be fitting in to the way that he plays, right? And also, you can have a top quality striker come in, right? But he's got to be given the right service. And I think, you see, part of our problem's been over the last couple of years. You know, we keep going about, we want a striker, and I don't have an argument with that. But then you got to give him the right sort of service. And if he ain't getting the right sort of service, then it don't matter. Then he's he's on the fringes of the game. But whatever players he brings in, you know, they have to fit into the pattern of play that he wants to play. And if they don't fit into that, he won't be after them. Or if he thinks they don't fit into it. So all I'm saying is, you have to be careful when we start saying we want this and we want that. Yeah, we do. But they've got to fit the system he plays, you know?
Yeah, 100%.
You know.
You know, like Erling Haaland, he wouldn't be scoring the goals if he wasn't getting the service. The thing is, his midfield give him the service and he scores the goals because he's a good goal scorer. But, you know, Bradshaw could be on loads of goals if he was getting a good service.
Yeah, that's the problem. Because if you take the stat figures, 80% against 20, I mean, that tells me we didn't have a lot of the ball. And again, that's part of our problem. You know, don't matter how good they are, or we are, if we ain't got the football and we keep giving it away, then you ain't going anywhere. And that's the problem. You know, this idea, I'll just lump it up there and hope for it's not good. In this division, you're playing against teams who keep the football. And the sooner we understand that, the better. And sometimes people just have some difficulty getting their head around that principle. If you don't believe me, watch them. Watch them. When we play on Saturday, watch them. But whoever the opposition are, see how often they give up the ball cheaply. It's in every game. It's in every game. And it really gets frustrating. But anyway, but we've chewed over that before. But when we play Saturday, you watch the opposition. Saying that, we'll probably go out and beat them about 4-0 or something. But anyway. but it's the same. Like, for example, let me just say this. I read the other day, right? QPR, right? Now, I didn't know this, right? Now, apparently, the reason they've now suddenly won 3 games on the spin, because under the other bloke, right, Ainsworth, he was I didn't realise this, but he's one of these people that was, he believed in the long ball, right? And he had players in that team that were playing in that system were no good. Now he's gone, and they've now got this bloke in there who's now playing football. These players are now performing because instead of only having the option of 1 pass, they've now got the option of 3 or 4 passes because they're playing the game that they play. That apparently has made the difference, according to the QPR players.
Yeah.
So, it's all food for thought.
We'll take a break there and hear about our sponsor, G&M Motors.
Hi, this is Jess Tuffield from G&M Motors. Operating from a modern and purpose-built facility in Milton Road, Gravesend, G&M Motors offers a complete range of new Honda cars and services. As well as new Hondas, we have an extensive range of used cars, including ex-Motability cars from a variety of manufacturers. Specialising in new Honda cars, G&M Motors has been retailing quality new and used vehicles to the people of Kent and South East London for over 4 decades. We have been a Honda dealership since 1972 and are the country's longest serving supplier of this renowned mark. Conveniently sited just 2 miles from the A2, 10 miles from the M25 and Dartford Crossing, visitors to our showroom are assured a warm welcome from our experienced and friendly staff. Our facilities include an on-site workshop capable of providing full vehicle servicing and repairs, as well as an extensive parts department offering genuine Honda parts and accessories. The expertise of our skilled mechanics is not limited to just Hondas, but extends to most makes and models of motor vehicles. Whatever your motoring needs, visit us at G&M Motors today. The newly extended hours of our G&M headquarters means that you can contact us from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. on Saturdays. To contact us, call us today on 01474 365 026.
Thank you, Jess. Debbie Julian's here. Don't forget to call Jess on 01474 365 026. G&M Motors have been dear friends of the Julians family for over 4 decades now. From my dad Lenny to me, Debbie, Lions together.
I'm Myles Thornton and I'm here with the No One Likes Us talking team of Jeff Burnige, Stan Godwin and Dave Hart. Many thanks to our sponsor G&M Motors. It's well worth a visit to their Gravesend site to check out the new and used Hondas and many other marques. Our first guest tonight was born north of the river in Walthamstow. His first club was a non-league side, non-league side, Leighton Wingate, who were in the Isthmian League, where he played as a striker. The club closed at the end of the season, the 1890 season. He and then his manager headed south to Bromley, where he played a few pre-season friendlies and then promptly left for the Den for $30,000 plus $20,000 on 20th of August 1990. With us, he made 127 appearances, 17 of which were from the bench, and scored 37 goals, just over a goal every 3 games. Not a bad return. After 4 years at the Den, he was sold to Wimbledon for a joint fee with Kenny Cunningham of $1.3 million on the 9th of November 1994. On leaving us for the top flight Dons, he gained further honours as a Republic of Ireland international. He never truly recovered from an injury in 1997, and at the turn of the century, he hung up his playing boots. He is a UEFA A coach and has held a number of positions, from being a sports scientist to coach. The last time we spoke to him in 2021, he was with Milton Keynes Dons. Today, he's with Watford. Without further ado, hello, Jon Goodman.
Thanks ever so much for that introduction. Cool.
You okay?
All right, John.
All good,
Evening,
thanks.
John.
Yeah, listen. Evening all. Lovely to connect with you.
Hello, John. It's Jeff Burnige here. Hello, John.
Jeff, always good to me, and always good to all the players there. So lovely to not see you in person, but to be on the same platform as you.
I can picture you down the ether. I can picture you. So there you are. We'll make do with that. John,
I may look a little younger in your picture than in reality, which is fine.
that applies both ways.
Yeah.
John,
I've still
before I
got all
hand
my
you
hair,
over,
though, John. I've still got all the hair.
Yeah, you was great back then, Jeff. So I guess the only thing left was for it to fall out. But at least you've got it all still, mate, which is great.
John, before I hand you over to the team, you joined us from Bromley. Were you shocked that second-tier promotion chasing Millwall came in for you?
The truthful answer would be no. Not that it was Mill, but I felt I was due an opportunity in a professional club. As you mentioned, the non-league manager at the time was a guy called George Wakelin, who I'd worked or played under at Leighton Wingate for a couple of years. So I was one of them young kids who was able to play men's football at a relatively young age. And George was pretty convinced I'd get an opportunity, and people had come to watch me, but maybe I wasn't quite ready. And just Bromley happened to be the perfect platform where I probably matured a little bit physically over that pre-season. Had a very good game against Millwall, or Leighton Orient, and then Millwall. And yeah, I guess it's the arrogance of youth. You generally believe you're worthy of an opportunity, and also a number of friends that were in the professional game. So I was probably, when I sat down with Bob Pearson at George's house to discuss the opportunity. It was a 1-year contract, and I was aware that, listen, there's Malcolm Allen, Teddy Sheringham, Paul Goddard, all very, very well established strikers was at Millwall Football Club. And I didn't know loads about the club, but I knew them strikers very well, and I was like, will I have an opportunity? And Bob was pretty clear; he felt I would, and was lucky enough to break into the side within that first season.
It's Jeff here again, John. During that first season with us, the Lions were hoping to make a quick return to the top flight because they were relegated the summer that you joined. We eventually faced Brighton and Hove Albion in the playoffs. They finished 6th, we finished 5th. We drawn with them away and won at the Den. I think it was 3-0. But then we played them in the playoffs. You played in the first leg and you were a sub in the second leg. How were the squad feeling ahead of the playoffs, and what happened over?
Thanks, Jeff. I guess both times I was involved in playoff matches. Listen, I was only 19 at the time, so I wasn't, again, attuned to the difference maybe between a playoff match, which is effectively a cup final, or a cup match, versus the league. In the league, the team was set up, I think, well by Bruce, although we'd lost maybe Jimmy Carter and some changes that happened to that team along the way. It was a team that was consistently churning out good results. And even at the Brighton game, the first leg down at their old ground, the Golston ground, we went a goal up and was probably had a chances to go further ahead. But the atmosphere and I guess almost they played fearless on the day, Brighton, and turned a 1-0 deficit into a 4-1 victory. And the game just got away from us. There was people running on the pitch. We lost maybe the discipline we needed, knowing it was over 2 legs, to maybe, if you lose 2-1, you're still in the game and you're getting back to the Den and we got a chance. But yeah, maybe personally, I was probably, it'd been a challenging season for me adapting to first team football from non-league and, not having that, I guess, physical capacity that more experienced players like Teddy Sheringham or Les Briley or, Jimmy Carter, Paul Stevens, and whoever that could, manage their energy across the season. I was probably just falling off of my best performance levels, and so I was thankful to be in the team on the first leg, but probably didn't play as well as Bruce was expecting. And then, John McGinley started the second leg, but by then it was a done deal. But in all truth, going into the games, we were confident and happy that I think we landed with Brighton.
John, it's Stan here, mate. It's great to speak to you once again. It was back to life in the Championship the following season. How was the stall set out by manager Bruce Rioch, and how did you find not being selected to start as often as you had done the season before?
Yeah, I think financially we'd sold Teddy Sheringham, so we'd lost 38 goals, and maybe not only the 38 goals, but the pivotal figure of the team. So Bruce, I remember he called me during the off season of that summer, and I just got back off holiday. I went into the den to his office, and he said, "You're going to be a really important player for us this season. Make sure you have a good rest in this off season and come back pre-season, flying high, with full of energy." But and I acknowledged that, and we had a pre-season. We went down to Aberystwyth in Wales, and it felt like every time we played a team, we signed their striker, and it was probably Bruce not confident in. I would agree. At 20 years of age, with one season under my belt, I wasn't ready to lead a team back into the top division or the Premier League. And we signed Mark Falco, John Colquhoun, we signed John McGinley. We played against Wrexham, signed Chris Armstrong. We still had Malcolm Allen. So lots of experienced strikers that jumped ahead of me. Listen, my ego took a kicking, and there was that season. Bruce, you'd argue his man management wasn't great, so he probably was under pressure to get the team back up. He wasn't, maybe I wasn't at the forefront of his thought process. We lost Steve Harrison along the way. He was a wonderful coach, and just the whole environment wasn't such a pleasant place to be, So, but also, listen, I was a little bit disappointed because I wasn't involved in some games. I would actually sub for the reserves, so I'd gone from being considered maybe a first team player to not sitting on the bench for the reserves, and that was a little bit soul destroying, but it was down to me to turn that back around. And the playing staff were really good around me and very supportive, but fundamentally I had to demonstrate I could be reliable on the pitch for Bruce, and I guess he was under pressure, so we went with more established, more reliable players. So yeah, it was tough, and it wasn't a great place to be around, if I was honest.
Hello, John. Dave here.
Hi.
Former Lion Mick McCarthy. He replaced Bruce Rioch in 1992. What was it like playing under Mick, who then took Millwall to the playoffs when we finished third in the league at the end of the 93-94 season?
Well, Mick was good in terms of, he was the club captain. He, I said this before, I remember me, Kenny Cunningham and Mick were doing a function for the club on a Thursday down in Greenwich, and we started talking about football, and he said, if I became the manager, this is the team I'd pick. And, lo and behold, he must have had an inkling, because I think on that next day, Bruce had been, it might have been a Tuesday or whatever, but by the end of that week, Mick's the manager, and he, true to his word, he picked a team against Grimsby that he said he would pick on. When we sat in the cinema on that evening earlier on in the week. Mick was, I think, in my view, a stand-up, straight guy, very honest, good trainer. When we trained together, he was very, very tough to play and train against, and trained how he played really, and spoke how he saw it. And he, with Ian Evans, I guess re-galvanised the spirit of the players, and he wanted to play similar to Bruce. Bruce was quite an attack-minded, possession-based way of playing. Redefined maybe how we played under previous managers. And Mick took that on a little bit, and he wanted to play with a diamond, which was unusual for teams back in them days. Where tactically it was all 4-4-2 and pretty basic. So I enjoyed, Mick, was very encouraging of the younger players, and had really good belief in us and gave us belief. And the team, good blend of good young players with people like Mark Kennedy breaking in, and Ben Thatcher and Andy Roberts, and myself and Kenny, relatively young, coupled with some good experienced signings like Dave Mitchell and whoever else. we had a really good season, but again, like you say, finished third in the league, and but ultimately fell short in the playoffs.
It's Jeff again. You mentioned the role that George Wakeling played in you coming from Bromley. He was a Millwall fan, George, and he did very well for Bromley. I'm not sure you played any league games for him. I think we signed you from pre-season friendlies, didn't we? And I think, if my memory serves me well, the pre-season game that Bromley played against Millwall was fixed up by Bob Pearson and George with a view to having a look at you. It was difficult for Bob then because Bruce had taken over, and I don't think they saw eye to eye, put it that way. But you did that well, John, that you got signed. And there were times in that first season when you played up front with Ted when it did look like very promising indeed. But there was a new manager, new signings, you named a few of the strikers, and we didn't really get a settled team, did we? And eventually the atmosphere did suffer. But George Wakeling, he worked with a man called Billy Smith, who was a Palace fan.
Yeah.
I've not got a feeling Billy might have been at Bromley with him. I can't really remember that. But later on, they were at Tooting and Mitcham as manager and assistant manager. Bob was back on the scene. I think it was after Billy had become the manager, Billy Bonds. We took a reserve team down to Tooting and Mitcham because George said, "I've got another one for you, Bob."
Yeah, Antonia. Yeah.
Mick and Antonia.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
We didn't want to know. There was a problem at the time with Bob. I think he liked his own way under Doc. He had a very important role. I don't think it was ever really replicated under Bruce and then Mick. And we just passed up on Mikel Antonio. When Billy Smith knew that we were in for him, or thought we were, he picked the phone up to Steve Coppell, his mate, who was manager of Reading, and Steve signed him on Billy's say-so. 30 grand. There's so many stories in football like this, aren't there? But pay tribute to George Wakeling. I hope he's well. I'm not sure what's become of him, but a very good judge and a nice man.
Jeff, to be honest, I still speak with George. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago. He was celebrating. Yeah, he was celebrating his 80th birthday at Bromley. He's back with Bromley as an ambassador, so he does some hospitality on a match day. Unfortunately, I couldn't get across to his birthday. It was a couple of weeks ago now, and I owe him a phone call. But I think Billy was the manager, and he was his assistant at Tooting and Mitcham. But I mean, you're right on so many levels there. I mean, George. He was probably quite protective of me, so I was aware that maybe before we played Millwall on the Saturday, and again when we played Leyton Orient the following Tuesday, he kept saying to me, "John, just make sure you play with a smile on your face, that you run around, and if you get a chance to score, make sure you take your chances." He's almost implying that there was an opportunity there, and he did that when I signed the contract with Bromley, that they wasn't going to be too demanding about the terms and conditions should a club come in for me. You're right, I never played a league game. It literally was a pre-season, and the guys at Leyton Wingate were a little bit disappointed with that because they'd probably missed out on that money would have been a lot of money to them as it was to Bromley at the time. But also, like you mentioned Bob Pearson there, and Bob was, very, very young, and I'm sitting there in George's front room talking to Bob about the opportunity to be a professional footballer, and it's £250 a week, and there's a signing on fee of £6,000 it would have been, and I was a student at the time, so I was just like, that sounds amazing. And then George said to Bob, is that all they earn? £250 a week? Is that? And Bob's like, yeah, that's what the first year pros earn. And George said, anything you can do? So he said, well, okay, I'll go to 275. And I remember Bob picking up the phone to Reg Burr while he was there, rung from George's landlines. Like, Chairman, we've agreed a figure and we agreed a deal with John, but it's going to be a little bit more, 275 a week. And I thought, wow, Bob's obviously highly thought of. He's kind of like done a deal, and Bruce Rioch and the team were in Ireland at the time, so Bruce hadn't seen me play. So he's got that level of authority, and he's up to my figures. Listen, it's £25 a week is not life changing additional money, but yeah, Bob clearly had a lot of authority in that position.
Well, Bob thought George Wakeling was a great judge of a player, and we all think Bob was, and the two of them were determined you were good enough. Interestingly, you've remembered it right. Bruce and the first team were in Ireland. Bob still had a reputation with Reg, myself and the board, so he was able to pick up the phone to Reg Burr, and you're quite right, that was done with Bruce hardly knowing about it. That shouldn't really happen, but there you are. Bob, I remember Bob saying to me that we've got to change the way we play. We can't do Ted and Cass anymore. We need someone different to play with Teddy. I want a through runner with pace. And he said, Jon Goodman is it. He's going to go to the top. He's going to play in the top level. So there you are.
Yeah, Bob was convinced. I remember, amazing. Listen, maybe he said that to a lot of players and it didn't materialise. But his track record was very good, and he kept saying to me, "John, don't worry, you'll be in the first team by Christmas. You'll be in the first team. Don't worry, don't worry about Paul Goddard. Don't worry about Malcolm Allen. You'll be in the first team by Christmas." So, and fair play to Bruce. Bruce. It was ultimately the team selection would have been his call, and I remember very early on he put myself and Kenny on the bench in sometime in September, and I'd literally been in the club a month, hadn't scored a goal probably for the reserves, but Bruce was almost blooding us in, so it was a team effort. But you're right, Bob ultimately made that judgment call.
The question for you: since you retired from playing, you have had an impressive range of football roles with Reading, Northern Ireland, the Nike Academy, Leeds, Notts County, Spurs, MK Dons, and currently as the head of academy recruitment at Watford. Right, the relationship with sports science, of which you are qualified, and the players is often lost on the fan base. Can you explain to the listeners how important it is and what technology is used to monitor player performance?
Yeah, that's a broad question, but I guess I spent a lot of time injured during my time at Wimbledon, did my knee, and during that time did various studies. When I joined Millwall, I was doing a degree in computer science. So I'd always been a little bit academic. So during my time injured, I was looking into accountancy, strangely, because I wanted to work with and help players manage their finances. I just thought maybe accountancy would be something to do and a way forward. And the physio said to me, John, the PFA are running a sports science degree up at Surrey University, just up the road in Roehampton. Do you want to come along to the open day? And I did. And coincidentally, we also had a phenomenal athlete at the time, Daley Thompson, who was an absolute hero of mine, who was Olympic champion decathlete, and would take us for pre-season. And I'd do a lot of rehab work with him during my injury. So I was always interested in learning. And anyway, did the sports science degree, and it opened my mind and my eyes up to how the body responds to training methodologies, the energy systems that we have, how to create the best training system. If you're an endurance athlete, if you're a sprinter, you may be more explosive and powerful. If you're an endurance athlete, you're more, you have to use oxygen, and it's more of a different diet to an explosive athlete, and biomechanically you're wired differently, and psychologically you do things differently. So and football is a combination of so many different things. You have to be powerful, you've got to have endurance, you've got to have flexibility, you've got to have agility, and so it really captured my imagination, and it was a brilliant learning for me. And on top of that, the psychological aspects of it really resonated with me, and the challenges of maintaining, I guess, that mental resilience and of being a footballer. So, yeah, when I graduated, I was lucky that, it wasn't lucky, I was packing up at that moment in time, and Terry Burton had become the manager of Wimbledon and was looking to change the direction of Wimbledon from being crazy gang and a little bit amateurish to more professional. Arsene Wenger had just joined Arsenal, and he was changing how the players operated there. And so, and Mick Harford used to call me a dog with a bone. Once I got into something, I'm quite a keen learner and was keen to help the players become better athletes and better footballers, and help the coaching staff deliver better training sessions, and work out how we evaluate players. So the technology, moving on 25, 30 years, initially it was something maybe as simple as a Prozone, which would track players' movements during a game, would give the coach enormous data around, possessions gained, shots on target, corners won, duels lost, etc., etc. So a lot of technical information as well as the physical information, distances run, sprints made, high intensity bursts, etc. And so as football and the sports science and medical departments have grown, the amount of technology that is given on any weekly and daily basis is enormous. Like I sit in at Watford in the meetings now, and they're talking about, so and so's in their sweet spot for distance run or distance cover, or in their sweet spot for high speed runs this week, and they're always trying to, I guess, create the right environment where players can perform at their peak for as long as possible without breaking down with injury. However, having said all that, we still have injuries. We still have players that don't perform to their peak. So it's still a learning journey we're going on. But fundamentally, sports science is the process of trying to get the most out of your players in a scientific way. So there's lots of research out there, not necessarily always in football, but in elite sport in general, that can help shape the coaches and the medical staff in terms of how they prepare the players, how they monitor the players, and how they do recovery as well to get the most out of them across the season.
John, it's Dave again. You mentioned about Mick McCarthy like to play a possession-based game, and we know now that the modern game has taken on a more possession-based tactical style that sees most teams play a very demanding game. In the Championship, this is about the norm now. Do you see the game being played this way, being as a natural development of the game we saw, say, 10 years ago?
I do. Glenn Hoddle's Swindon back in the 90s and playing against them, and they had a very good style of play. So it's been refined and refined and refined, and it's become the norm now, I think, for most teams and expectations of most fans, it seems, and people talk about playing football the right way. And whilst I think the modern game is beautiful. It's a wonderful game. The pitches, the athleticism of the players, the skill levels, the tactical variations. I think it's gone stratospheric. It's gone beyond where we was at, as players. But I also think there could be a little bit of snobbery that the game is still about putting the ball in the net more times than your opposition, and it's about winning. And I think that there's probably an argument that if all the teams are going possession-based, generally the best players playing the possession-based game will win because they're better players. So again, the art of good management and coaching is getting more out of your players than maybe people would expect you could achieve. So I think there is, at some point, a counter-argument to, well, don't do what everyone else is doing and go back to a more direct style, putting the ball in the box on a more regular basis, putting the ball at risk more regularly, and having a more, direct style. But it's hard because as a coach, if you want to build a career in the game and you do perform that way, like now Sam Allardyce had a wonderful managerial and coaching career, but would be considered a dinosaur, as would Tony Pulis and as would other managers that are of that type. And so, it's really hard for the young coaches now to be against the current vogue and trend, But if you think of someone like Atletico Madrid, they're quite a direct team playing in Spain, and over the years have had success with a Costa or whoever else playing up front and feeding into him a little bit more direct. So even the rule changes have advocated maybe more possession based, protect the skillful players, more time on the pitch with the ball under control. Pep Guardiola's taken the game to a brilliant level in this country, but I just worry that there's a vogue that there's not another way of playing as well. I think the diversity of the game gives it its strength as well.
Thanks, John.
Lastly, before you go, John, how about a prediction for our game at home to Huddersfield on Saturday?
Perfectly truthful, I've not. I watched the Millwall results from afar. I know Scott Fitzgerald well, as academy manager at Millwall, I'm obviously aware that Gary Rowett's left and Joe stepped into that spot, and the results don't look like they've been great thus far this season. So but Huddersfield obviously sits slightly below. So I'd never bet against Millwall, and I just more importantly than one result on a Saturday, I'd really hope that the team can build momentum during this Christmas period and get into a space where maybe they're just one below Watford and we both end up in the playoffs or higher than that.
Great. Thanks, John, for coming on the show. All the best and a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you and yours. Always a fascinating listen. Until next time, bye for now.
Thanks, John.
Thanks so much for your time.
Brilliant.
Great to speak to you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much,
John.
guys.
Please say hello
See
to
ya.
George for me and tell him that I spoke highly of him. He'll love that.
Oh, Jeff, you're absolutely correct. It's characters and people that make the game, and he's, I cannot help, look back all them years ago, and without him, I wouldn't be where I was, so he's a brilliant guy. I will pass on your best. See you all.
Thank you.
Bye.
See you, John.
We'll take a break there and hear from Harvey Brown talking about the Lions Food Hub.
Hi, Harvey Brown here. I am proud of the Lions Food Hub, which is jointly owned by Kelly and Ellen Webster, and they have been supporting families within our community for over 2 years on Millwall match days. If you would like to donate to them, they have a match day donation hub by the SE16 bar at Colblow Lane, end of the ground, where they accept any food or money and toiletry donations. If you can help, any donations will be received with thanks.
I'm Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes This talking team of Jeff Burnige, Dave Hart and Stan Godwin. Thanks, Harvey. I might add that the Hub is also looking for funding to meet the Christmas hamper requirements of those in need. If you could spare £25, that will help a family at Christmas, and don't forget the Christmas toy donations too. Let's hear now from Ellis Barr.
Hello, Ellis here, and I'm glad to be back talking about Millwall. I know many have watched my videos, so you will all know that I don't wear splints as much anymore. Thanks for your support along the way. It is now time to hear what all the Millwall teams are up to. Come on, Millwall!
Thanks, Ellis. Keep us updated as always. Paul Loding, Millwall Romans and Pride and General Manager, filed a report for us. Let's hear from Paul.
Hi, always Paul Loding over at the Millwall Romans with just a little update. Nothing to report from the weekend. Both teams were on a break. Just a quick one from our side. We will be attending this Saturday's Santa Dash from 10 o'clock, running from the Den to St Paul's. We are going to be there dressed in the Santa gear. So, yeah, just a quick one from us to say that we will be at the Santa Dash on Saturday morning.
All credit to you guys. Hopefully I'll see you there. Jeff Burnige filed a report for Maritime Radio following the Millwall Lionesses' trip to Moneyfields women on Sunday in the Adobe Women's FA Cup. Let's hear what Jeff had to say.
So Millwall Lionesses headed to Portsmouth in the Adobe Women's FA Cup third round to face National League side Moneyfields, who in pre-season had defeated the Lionesses quite convincingly. Jeff Burnige made the trip through heavy rain and flooding to bring us the story.
This is Jeff Burnige reporting on Millwall Lionesses and the end of their Women's FA Cup run for another season. There's something about the FA Cup and Millwall Lionesses because they have won the competition twice in the past, and it seems to bring the best out of them in their new status lower down the pyramid after the FA's relegation of them in 2019. On this occasion, they lost 1-0 to National League Moneyfields, who had started very, very hot favourites, and yet Millwall were down to the bare bones due to injuries, and they in fact had to fill their bench with players who in a league game would not have been risked. They were half fit, returning from injury and so on. So to lose 1-0 in this game and to be pressing at the end for an equaliser does represent quite an achievement by this young side, 5 of whom were 17 years of age. Well, in fact 4, and 1 was 18. A very, very young side who gave a brilliant account of themselves in this game. Could have had a penalty given to them in the last minute, and to be fair, I think, although they won't say it, I do think there is some disappointment with the referee in this game, who seemed to not be giving Millwall possibly as much of his decisions as he did to National League money fields. The vital goal was scored in the 37th minute, a scrappy affair towards the end of the first half, but there were a number of chances at both ends. It's one of those days where the players must take a lot of pride from their performance. Managers Alex Russell and Adam Rowland had to fill their bench with injured players, as I said. In fact, Shana Letitia, Sophie Chapman both came on, as did, unbelievably, Steph Patchy, a midfielder who has not kicked a ball for 12 months and has been just finished her rehabilitation period. It shows you that they really were struggling. Perhaps extra time would have been a thing not to be welcomed, so that penalty award that could have given them a draw in the very last minute of the game, perhaps it was best it didn't happen. Overall, they can be proud of their achievement. They've come right through to the third round proper, having started in the preliminary rounds. A great journey for the team, and next week it's back to league action. They'll have to patch up a side and they go to Dorking Wanderers in the London and South East Regional League.
You got anything to add, Jeff?
Not really. I mean, one thing I would have to say is Shana is actually Shana Giordani. Letitia's her middle name, and I did that report sitting in my car in the car park, and I think I had a brainstorm, so apologies to Shana Giordani. She was brought down in the box in the last minute, but there you are. You've heard my remarks. I think they cover themselves in glory, to be honest. They were really disappointed to go out. They put on a good performance, but, defensively, 3 17-year-olds in the back four. I have to give credit to Poppy Payne, who played centre-back. She's a very experienced player, has been at Millwall before, and Chrissy Wiggins in goal. Those two senior players helped those 3 youngsters, and defensively we were very good. Moneyfields hardly had a chance in that game. It was a very, 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 very even game. So there you are. Next year. Maybe next year we'll go a bit further.
Yep. 100%. Jeff, it was a very good FA Cup run and some great games that I witnessed down at St Paul's. The Lions are home to fellow strugglers Huddersfield Town on Saturday and will be undoubtedly looking to put more space between themselves and the relegation zone before they head to Stoke, another struggling side, on the following Saturday. Huddersfield have drawn 3, lost 1 and won 1 away to Sunderland in their past 5 fixtures. The Terriers were not conceding many until Preston put 3 past them this week. Certainly less than us of late, seem to be a draw specialist at the moment. We're in 20th spot ahead of Huddersfield on goal difference, who sit 21st spot, with both of us on 21 points. Will we show a spirited display, keep a clean sheet, and put some balls in the net after losing by a miserable goal last Saturday? Jeff, what do you think, mate?
I'm quite optimistic for the game. We have just played 2 of the top teams, both away from home. We hardly ever lose a game by more than the odd goal, do we? So we've just lost the knack a little bit of actually seeing games through to a result, to a positive result. I feel we will do that on Saturday. I feel we will defeat Huddersfield, and it might be reasonably comfortable. I'm going to go with 2-0.
Dave, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with Jeff. I think what Joe's trying to do over the last few games will come to fruition on this Saturday. We've had 2 fairly difficult games, and as Jeff said, I think we'll have a bit of a more than a 1-0 win. I think it'll be 3-1.
Lovely. Stan, how about you?
I mean, I personally, I think that we will win either 3-0 or 3-1. I mean, that's how confident I am, because we all know what Joe Edwards is trying to do, and I think that it will start to come good, or we start to get our act together, if you like, or for the want of a better expression, and I think that's I think we're overdue that, as I say. My understanding of it is both games we played reasonably well, and some people said we was unlucky not to get a point, and so there we go. I mean, I think come the end of the season, we'll be comfortably up the table, personally. But for me, there's no doubt about that in my mind.
Yeah. We'll take a break there and hear from Paul talking about Fisher FC.
Hi, I'm Paul, a Millwall and Fisher FC supporter. There's always been strong links between our clubs, and as such, Fisher FC would like to remind Millwall season ticket holders and supporters club members that entry to watch Fisher is just a £5 if you show your card at the gate.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Jeff Burnige, Dave Hart and Stan Godwin. Great offer given to Millwall season ticket holders for our away days. Our second guest tonight then is a local, and you've just heard him. He follows both Millwall and Fisher. He describes himself on Twitter, on X, formerly Twitter, as an optimist, an actor and a writer. He enjoys a drink. He also hopes to hear more about our No Luck team efforts in the MCT Santa Dash, which he can't make. Let's say hello to Paul Owens.
Hi everyone, thanks for having me on the show.
Before I hand you over to the panel then, Paul, a personal question. It's been 30 years at the place that still gets called the New Den. What is your most memorable game that you saw there?
I can't believe it's been 30 years. My most memorable game at the New Den, it's got to be Man City in 98. What an incredible atmosphere it was. I mean, it was midweek and City must have took 2,500 down here. There was a real buzz when they were in the stands and non-stop singing and chanting. I can remember no one around us even took a seat throughout the whole match. I mean, unfortunately it did end 1-1 and Paul Shaw was sent off. But, I mean, that night, it's always stayed with me. Always will.
Oh, well, you're the first to highlight that game, Paul.
Hi, Paul. It's Jeff here. Welcome to the podcast. Was becoming a Millwall and Fisher fan an option for you, or was it your destiny? Were you born to it?
Hi. Looking back, it probably was my destiny. I was living near Salter Road in Rotherhithe growing up, like 2 minutes from what was then Fisher Athletic. Most kids on the manor hung around Fisher when Millwall weren't at home, so it worked out well. Being able to go and watch both teams, which I still do when I can.
Great, that's it's good. Following the clubs in your community, both Millwall and Fisher, that's great. And I've seen you also down at St Paul's, even watching Millwall Lionesses who share that ground with Fisher. So you're very welcome there.
Hi Paul, it's Dave here. Me and the missus get over to St Paul's occasionally to watch Fisher, and the arrangements for Millwall's season ticket holders is real good value. I see now that you have a partnership with our Millwall Community Trust. How did that come about, and how has the experience panned out?
Hi Dave. Well, I'm glad to hear you guys come down to Fisher and the concession of Millwall season ticket holders and also the supporters club members. I mean, come on, it's great value, only a £5. The community trust relationship really started in earnest back in 2016, because that's when Fisher moved into the new ground, St Paul's ground, which is it's owned by Southwark Council, but it's actually run by the Millwall Community Trust. So, I mean, the relationship has been amazing, far beyond expectations. When you think about what Sean Daly and his staff have done, I mean, they've always put themselves out to help Fisher and the local community, remember. I mean, there's lots of ongoing projects, events, etc. It's a very strong partnership, and long may it continue.
Yeah, Paul, supporting the Millwall Community Trust and making that concession to Millwall season ticket holders and the MSC is brilliant.
Hello, Paul. Stan here. I noticed that your manager at Fisher has moved on and moved up a notch in the tiers. I believe he will be a big miss, but how is the recruiting going?
What's your Stan? Yeah, I mean, we always knew this would happen eventually. AJ, he's done wonders at Fisher. He took over in 2019. I mean, he's a born leader. And he's nurtured so much talent. I mean, all the team respected him, and everyone at Fisher wishes him well. I'm sure it would be a massive success at Basildon United. Luckily, we've got Michael Williams, who was part of AJ's staff. He's now stepped up. He knows the squad, and we still have a team capable of doing well this season.
Sounds like you've lost one there, but have to step up straight away again. Thanks.
Yeah, AJ was. I spoke to AJ. Was actually someone that started this media stuff with me, and if it wasn't for him, let me interview him, then I wouldn't have been doing. I wouldn't be doing what I am doing today. But one last question before we let you go: how about a prediction for our home game against Huddersfield on Saturday?
Hi, Myles. Right. Well, I reckon we will win 1-0 against Huddersfield. I know a lot of my mates are predicting a draw, but I have faith. And our cheeky 30 quid bet that we'll get the result.
Well, I'm with you on that one, Paul. No draw, a Millwall win. Paul, thanks for coming on. And we're excited to hear from you once again in the not too distant future. Thanks for supporting the show and as a listener and on social media. Merry Christmas to you and yours, and all the best for the 2024. Bye for now.
Well, thanks, Myles, Jeff, Dave, and Stan. I'd like to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to everyone. You and yours, everyone included.
Happy Christmas.
All the best, Paul.
Oops, I forgot to tell Paul that I will not be the only no-luck entrant for the Santa Dash, Stan?
Well, I don't know about... Well, I'm going to be down there. I won't be doing too much dashing at 70 years of age, mate, I tell you. I mean, I'm supposed to be walking around a pitch or something. That'd do for me. But, yeah, no, I mean... And I have to say, when I was sitting here last week listening to this show, and, all of a sudden I'm viewing about 4 years and all this, and I'm thinking, well, where's all this come from? It's a new one on me. But anyway, the 4 years aspect of it all. But... yeah, no, I'll be there, and so that all being short of a train strike or the world falling apart, or what's his name, Putin don't decide to attack the country or something, I'll be there. But anyway, we'll see how it all goes. But I won't be doing any dashing, I can assure you of that. I'm a bit too old to do dashing. But anyway, all right then.
We'll take a break there and listen to Bethany Manxlow talking about the raising funds for our Millwall Community Trust.
The Millwall Community Trust, something that I, Bethany Manxlow, admire for all that it does. The Trust was established in 1985, works to provide sporting, education, social and healthy lifestyle opportunities to the local community in Southwark, Lewisham, North Kent and the wider community. Its work is targeted at people of all ages, irrespective of race, gender or sexual orientation, and runs programmes aimed at tackling social exclusion, racism, knife crime, lack of employment opportunities for young people, mental health and disability issues. The Trust aims to be a progressive and campaigning charity that makes a difference to ordinary people's lives. Its work is undeniably essential to the local community. They have sponsorship opportunities to support this work. Email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. That is email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. Please help if you can.
I'm your host, Myles Thornton, and with me I have the No One Likes This Talking team of Jeff Burnige, Dave Hart and Stan Godwin. If you can sponsor or donate to our Millwall Community Trust, it will help in delivering the programmes they deliver for all. We're all looking forward to the next game, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans and those interested in football.
Millwall Football Club's 2023-24 half-season tickets are now on sale at the ticketing section of the club's website. Secure your seat for the home straight and receive the first 3 matches of your ticket for free. You will also receive all the same benefits as a regular season ticket holder, including priority purchase periods for away games and high-demand cup or playoff fixtures, exclusive discounts on Millwall TV, and subscriptions and exclusive promotions in the Lions store. Wheelchair, ambulant and disabled supporters need to call 020 7740 3470. That's 020 77403470 to purchase a half-season ticket between the hours of 9:30 to 5 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays. That's a good night from me.
Next week, the show will be back and Eamon will be hosting us. He'll probably be hosting me again, Ted, and our host and dashing Santa, Myles, along with a couple of guests. Don't forget, Millwall Lionesses are playing away to Dorking Wanderers. That's run by Callum Best, son of George. And that's in a league fixture on Sunday at 3:30 p.m. at Dorking's Meadowbank Football Ground, Meadowbank Mill Lane, Dorking. If you live down that way, why not get along and give the Lionesses a well-deserved boost with your support. Good night from me.
Millwall Football Club's annual Santa Dash is back on the same day that the Lions welcome Huddersfield Town to the Den, Saturday the 16th. In the Sky Bet Championship, kick-off at 3 p.m. Participants will assemble at the Den for a 10 a.m. start and run 4 kilometres, 2 away from the stadium to St Paul's Ground in Rotherhithe, and 2 back in aid of the Millwall Community Trust. Watch out for our Myles Thornton, cheer him on and send any photographs of him. nolutalking@gmail.com. You could win a mystery prize, and if you are listening, Sean, I'm hoping to be there. All the best with Santa's Dash, and all the best, Myles, the Romans and Pride, and everyone who participates. Good night.
Don't forget, you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us Talking team, bring reports from our games, both home and away, for both the Lions and Lionesses, and also updates on the Millwall Community Matters too, on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and X, formerly Twitter, social media sites, and all popular podcast sites. That's it from me. Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks, Myles.
Thanks, Dave.
Cheers, Myles.
And thanks, Dan.
Yeah, cheers, Myles.
And thank you all for listening. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by G&M Motors of Gravesend, Honda dealers and much more. Thank you.